Right now, dozens of cities around the world are at risk of disappearing. And after loading climate data from NASA and the IPCC into artificial intelligence, the picture was alarming. Millions of people could lose their homes not in 100 years, but within the next 20. The oceans will not wait. They are rising slowly but relentlessly, and every year the water moves closer to cities we have grown used to seeing as permanent. But the scariest part is not that these cities may one day go completely underwater. It is that many of them could become unsuitable for normal life long before they disappear from the map. Because a city does not have to drown to be lost. It only has to become too expensive, too dangerous, and too unpredictable. Here are 6 massive cities that could be hit the hardest, with 6 different scenarios and one shared conclusion. Water is already beginning to redraw the map of the world. First is Jakarta, Indonesia, where the threat comes not only from the sea, but also from beneath the ground. Jakarta is not just sinking because of rising ocean levels, it is literally dropping downward as the ground subsides at a frightening speed. For residents, this is not an abstract climate model. It is flooded streets, homes that are harder to sell, and neighborhoods where every rainy season becomes a test. Over the next 10 to 20 years, the consequences could become critical, and this is why Indonesia has already decided to move its capital. If Jakarta shows how a city can sink from below, Bangkok shows what happens when a huge metropolis sits too low above sea level. Bangkok, Thailand, stands on a low-lying plain where storms, floods, and salty water in wells are becoming part of a new reality for millions of people. At first, people adapt by buying pumps, raising doorsteps, changing routes, and avoiding flooded roads. But little by little, adaptation turns into a constant fight. By 2040, a significant part of the city could regularly go underwater. Next is Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, where the threat comes from 2 sides at once. The sea is rising, rivers and canals can no longer handle heavy rains, and the ground beneath the city is also subsiding. Imagine neighborhoods where after every heavy rain, water stands on the roads, stores close because people cannot reach them, children walk to school along streets that keep turning into canals, and homeowners realize their real estate no longer feels secure. But the climate crisis does not threaten only cities with fewer resources. Shanghai, China, is one of the largest port megacities on Earth, a place where money, goods, logistics, and global connections all pass through. At first glance, Shanghai seems able to protect itself with seawalls, engineering systems, technology, and massive investments. But even wealth does not cancel physics. If sea levels keep rising, protecting the city becomes an endless race, where every flood hits transportation, ports, warehouses, businesses, and daily life. In the United States, Miami is one of the clearest examples of this future, because water rises there not only from the outside, but also from below, through porous limestone. Sometimes flooding arrives without rain, without a storm, and without dark clouds, on a clear, sunny day. That is what makes Miami so disturbing, because cars are still moving, cafes are open, tourists are walking around, and yet water is already on the road. For residents, this means flooded parking lots, damaged homes, rising insurance costs, and neighborhoods where living becomes more risky. And finally, Venice, Italy, a city that has long symbolized the fragile balance between people and water. For tourists, flooded squares may look almost beautiful, but for the city, this is not romance. It is damaged buildings, salt destroying walls, businesses depending on the weather, and residents finding it harder to stay. The main conclusion is that this is not only about sea level rise, it is about a chain of consequences. First, water appears where it should not be. Then roads, basements, sewage systems, power grids, and transportation suffer. Then insurance becomes more expensive, neighborhoods lose value, businesses calculate risks, and families begin thinking about moving. AI does not predict fate, it shows a warning, and the future is not decided yet. But the data is clear, the water is already rising, and the question now is not whether it will come, but how ready we will be when it comes for us.